Hello. Hi. How's it going? So last time I went live, it told me I was live and tell me was having no issues until Sandra came in and said that the wheel was spinning. And then I was like, what? And then I was like, what? And it got like 51 seconds out of the 20 something minutes I was live. And at first, I was just gonna keep it up because I was like, "That's funny," but then I deleted it. So let's see. Usually, when I'm live, I pop up at the top of my own screen. I ain't gotta like do all this navigation to try to find it. Hello. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Let's see. Eve, hi, hello. I had a feeling that I might see you today, and not just because I bought alcohol at Walmart. ah, I'm doing well. How are you? Hey, Holly, how's it going? So I'm assuming that you can like hear me because no one said otherwise. Yep, nice, cool, got it. Yeah. So, um, also, y'all know I like to. Today is a very special Libras birthday. It's my best friend's birthday. Happy birthday, Sunny. He isn't gonna see this. He shouldn't see this. One second. Speaking of best friends, is this my other best friend? It's my journey buddy. I mean, I call her one of my best friends, but I feel like I refer to her as my journey buddy, so she's like my journey buddy now. You but anyway, yeah, he was like, um, he was like, so if you come to London in December, like, because I was like, happy birthday, hope you get lots of presents. He was like, thanks, where's yours? Or like, when is yours coming? He was like, thanks, when is yours coming? And I was like, you don't know when my birthday is? It's like February 28th. He was like, no, when is your present coming? And I was like, oh, well, did my question answer your question? And then he was like, oh, so like if you come in December, then like, are you going to give me a present? And then I made the predictable, if I come in December, that is your present. And he was like, I knew you would say that. And I was like, has it really? I mean, I guess I can. So I got it over halfway through, I think, Ream's Taurus reading. And the moment where I paused it, oh man, there was something that happened. I was gonna send her a voice note. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this just happened." I don't even remember what it was now. Clarinda, hey Clarinda, how you doing? Um, but anyway, I was watching her Taurus reading, and then I got inspired to use the four Kims, formerly three: the wild unknown alchemy, the wild unknown tarot, the wild unknown animal spirits, and the wild unknown archetypes. So, um, if that happens, I'm glad to hear it. What? Ooh, what are you making? You literally like came to my mind earlier today. I'm on my off rotation now, so now I don't have to work. And I was like, I never reached out to Clarinda. I should do that. Oh, that's my. It's the glitter from, or it's the glimmer from these letters as they shimmer. I'm like in my screen, I see something like gold. Like I was like, what's going on? Excuse me. You'll have to send me a picture. I mean, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, I would love to see what you're making. Um, but the energy today's energy has been low key kind of crazy. Um, yes, 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 for sure, for sure. And like I said, now that I have time for today and the next 3 days, because right now is my first day off. because I work overnight shifts. And then I got 3 more days off before I go back in. 4 on, 4 off. I love it. Did you really? To see if it was checked or something. So, like, this morning, more specifically within the hours of like 4:30 and 6:30, I was like, but also, let's see. Let me go get my iPad. I'll be right back. I'll look at the astrology. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The timber of the last reading, because all of the personal planets are direct right now, and the outer planets are retrograde. There was something about the timber that calls things in with the speed and momentum that I was like, oh, like that's how we keep moving forward, or how we keep making things happen, as everything in the outside world is still like slowed, stopped, or still. But Pluto's going to be going direct soon, and Pluto's been getting a lot of attention lately, so I guess I'm not too surprised. But anyway, I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab my iPad. I mean, honestly, I've been asleep like all day today. I just got out of bed at like 5:30, so a few hours ago, like 2 hours ago. Also, I can't remember if you are in October Libra or September Libra, but happy birthday, Holly. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Speed today in traffic and with peopling. Hold up, wait, what? People in at speed? 10-4 is, let's see. Time Nomad. And it's charged. So from top to bottom, we have North Node in Aries 25 degrees, Jupiter in Taurus retrograde 14, Uranus in Taurus retrograde 22. I didn't know Uranus was so late in Taurus. Uranus, oh, because I mentioned speed. Gotcha. The moment, air was movement, speed, movement with the music. Joy? Yeah, the timber. I remember. I'm with you. I got you. Were people speeding in traffic today? Also, like, I slept a lot. My brain is. We're gonna try. Yeah, Uranus will be coming from my moon pretty soon. Oof. But honestly, it's not surprising with how everything is playing out. I am actually curious when that conjunction is going to be for me. But anyway, enough about me. Moon in Gemini at 23 degrees. We have, I'm not doing some of these minors. Black Moon Lilith and Virgo at 0 degrees. Mercury in Libra at 0 degrees. The Sun in Libra at 11 degrees. Ooh, okay. I'm just thinking of my own personal astrology again. The South Node in Libra at 25 degrees. Exactly conjuncting Mars in Libra at 25 degrees. Maybe that's part of the craziness. It's I was like, I wonder what's the vibe gonna be like when Mars directly conjuncts the South Node. Well, that's today. The South Node is 25 degrees, 0 minutes Libra. Mars is 25 degrees, 12 minutes Libra. So they're pretty closely exact. Then we have Pluto retrograde 27 degrees of Capricorn, Saturn retrograde 1 degree of Pisces, and Neptune retrograde 25 degrees of Pisces. So, who just entered Black Moon Lilith is opposing Saturn pretty closely. And then Venus is going to be moving into a direct opposition as soon as it crosses over into Virgo. Now, I know Venus is in fall in Virgo. So it's moving into a sign in which it's in fall, directly opposing Saturn. I feel like that could act like if we know how to navigate that, that energy could actually be gorgeous. Yeah, Black Moon Lilith is 0 degrees Virgo. 0 degrees in 10 minutes, Virgo, according to Time Nomad. So what was that? 25 degrees? Hold up. Because, Eris is at 24 degrees. Retrograde Aries right now. Oh, aren't like Mars and Eris like sibling energies? So they're in a direct opposition, as Eris is on the north node and Mars is on the south node. Interesting. Cancer is empty besides the IC, like right now. And Capricorn has Pluto at 27. The midheaven is at 26. So right now, there's a grand cardinal cross between the midheaven Pluto at 27, 26 Capricorn, Mars in the south node at 25 Libra, the IC at 26 Cancer, and Aries north node at 24, 25 Aries. So the IC and the midheaven at this exact time right now, because those move pretty fast, is like elevating this opposition into, well, it's elevating the T square into a grand cardinal cross because Pluto is still there. So there's a T square between Pluto and Capricorn, Mars south node in Libra, and Eris north node in Aries. But yeah. Oh. Excuse me. Well, I hope you all of the like loving and comforting, as much loving and comforting energy and vibes as you can going back. Does it show Palace Athena? Yeah, it shows Palace Athena. Palace Athena, I saw her actually. And I almost called her out, but I was like, eh. Palace Athena is at 9 degrees of Libra. Everything in Libra is direct right now. Because that's holding Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus. Or not Venus. Mars, Mercury, and the Sun are all direct. Our other outside contact is Venus, and she's actually sextiling Mars in the South Node because she's at 26 Leo. So at this moment of Mars conjuncting the South Node, it's in a sextile with Venus. And she's not at fall or in fall. So excuse me. All right, Eve, since you're instigating this, pick a number between 1 and 4, please. Wow, today is the day. I was like, I wonder what that's going to be. What is the I spent most of today asleep. I was awake for the first 6 hours of today. Ooh, okay. I was kind of low key drawn to this one. We'll see. I need like my tablet thing. I should still have it on the bookshelf, on the bookcase at home. I have to have my mom bring it. I didn't think I had any alcohol, but I do. It's almost gone. The bloom. This is not sponsored. I encourage everyone to drink responsibly if they partake and they are of legal age wherever the governing laws and rules apply and are applicable. Now I'm gonna go get the little shot glass. I'm gonna go get the vessel that I didn't use for the pick of prophecy because I couldn't find it, and then I found it. I'll be right back. BRB. My mom was looking at this like, wait. Well, I don't know if she was necessarily looking at this in particular because she had gotten my little uh, things lined up on the windowsill because she was like, I know where these could go. And then I brought out one more and she was like, oh, you're throwing off the feng shui. Anyway, hi, Codes of Harmony. How you doing today? You broke down and got wine tonight? See, maybe that's why. When I was coming back, I was looking at the counter and I had like some I still have you can't even see me. I still have the blackberry merlot that I opened. But it was the alcohol. I was like, I wonder if I'll see you tonight. And then you said you got mine tonight. Anyway, it's fine. Believe it or not, there's actually a vineyard that's not too far from here. Supposedly. Never been. I see the sign every now and then. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they do like wine tastings or whatever. Anyway. So this is the one that I didn't get to use. It's the partner to the black and purple one. This one's a lot sunnier. See you later, Holly. Ooh, did you hear that? That's such a satisfying noise. Too much chaos today. Come on, there we go. Pink is the color of the higher heart chakra. So even though this is alcoholic, it's good for our energy body. Whew. Actually, that blackberry merlot is so good. I don't know if it's because I've had it in the fridge for so long, but it's like almost like bubbly. Anyway, it's fine. I feel like you can tell which ones I like painted, but it's fine. Anyway, let's go. Oh, I still feel it. Oh gosh. I feel like usually I handle it like at least mildly better. Oh, it feels so like potent today. And like very like it's very today. And I feel like here lately it hasn't been like that. Like I can feel still it. I can still feel it blooming in the back of my throat. I'm like, oh my gosh. Let's see. I'm gonna use my handy dandy Time Nomad app because I did purchase the $4.99 99 Seeker extension. And when does it leave Capricorn? So it crosses back into Aquarius, according to Time Nomad, in 15 weeks and 3 days. January 20th, 2024 at 5:58 p.m. Central Time. It's a Saturday. There's a grand Earth trine between Uranus and Taurus, Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, and Mars in Capricorn, or is it Mercury? It might be Mercury. It's either Mercury or Mars. They're close enough together that it's kind of hard to tell if that's a Mars trine Jupiter, if that's Mercury trine Jupiter in Taurus. But anyway, between Uranus and Taurus, Black Moon Lilith in Virgo, and Mars/Mercury in Capricorn, there's going to be a grand Earth trine. Interesting. When Pluto crosses back into Aquarius. It's interesting that a grand Earth trine heralds Pluto's return back into Aquarius, but oh, what? I wonder if this has literally been on here the whole time. So this is how this is. I'm gonna show you. So here's like the planets and stuff, right? So if I hold Pluto in Capricorn, it brings up this. And you see the arrows at the top right? If I click the arrow, it tells me Pluto stations direct in 5 days, 23 hours, and it gives me the chart at the time. And then if I hit the arrow again, Pluto crossing Aquarius cusp, 15 weeks, 3 days, and it gives me the chart at that. I noticed the big blue triangle. That's why I was like, what? But I just accidentally clicked the bar, like Pluto crossing Aquarius, and it brings up a list of all of the Pluto like ingresses, retrogrades, progrades, directs. Like, what? I've been clicking arrows this whole time, and I can just pop up a list. Crosses Aquarius in 15 weeks and 3 days, stations retrograde in 30 weeks and 1 day, crosses back Aquarius into Capricorn, I'm assuming, in 47 weeks and 4 days, stations direct, and 53 weeks and 2 days, crosses back into Aquarius from Capricorn in 58 weeks and 6 days. Wow. That's why I say I love Time Nomad. I'm pretty sure that one was a $4.99 add-on to the base app, but I love it. And it's not on Android. Anyway, so the 4. Let's go to the 4. Oh my gosh. That shot was too much. Bloom is too much. It's too much. I thought, it would be like a flower or a tree. It's like a whole field just bloomed in the back of my throat. All right, see you, Steph. I hope everything, goes as smoothly as can be. Ooh, am I taking them? I'm taking them. I wish they had it for Android too. It's ridiculous. We got four archetypes. So you pick the archetype deck. For the craziness of today, we have the Flame, number 51. We have the Dead End, number 40. We have the Destroyer, number 23. So we already have a person in the Destroyer, a place in the Dead End, and a thing in the Flame. So we've already got 3 out of 4 categories, so well done. The fourth one is the Judge, number 14. So it's like the top 3, and then the fourth one is on the bottom. So what I was going to do is, I'm already half an hour in. We'll see if I do it or if I don't just do this. I was going to pair the Wadanon Tarot with the Alchemy, because there's a whole bunch of alchemy that I don't know. I was going to use tarot for context, try to figure it out, and then read the alchemy book to see like what I read versus like what is written. And then I was going to use the animals for the archetypes. Now there's a whole bunch of archetypes that I'm not like super familiar with, and there's even more animals that I don't know. So, well, let's do it. Let's get an animal with each one of these. Well, I don't have to do it with each one since I'm partnering this with the animals. Oh, that's too many. Oh, that's way too many animals. The lizard, the bear, the eagle, the whale. Hold up, wait. Fire, earth, air, and water. That is interesting, though, that it gave one of each element. In the realm of fire is the lizard, in the realm of earth is the bear, in the realm of air is the eagle, and in the realm of water, it's the whale. Now, the whale, the bear, and the eagle feel like pretty powerful, um, like within their respective suits, they feel like pretty powerful animals. And then we get the lizard and fire. Not to, downplay the lizard, but the bear, the eagle, the whale, the lizard. um, did you really? So we had the first three archetypes was one of each category. The first four animals are one of each element. Oh, we just did this, right? Our grand fixed cross in the sky. So for the water of the icy in Cancer is the whale. For the air of Mars' south node is the eagle. For the earth of Pluto MC is the bear. And for the fire of North Node Eris is the lizard. There's some other cards that flipped over too. Way too many. We have the cobra, okay, the golden egg, and the camel. So 2 cards of fire, 1 card of spirit. The cobra, the golden egg, and the camel. Yeah, because I mean that would be. I feel like bear, eagle, whale is a lot for lizard to carry by itself. I like that the golden egg came out in between 2 fire element animals because it feels like it's like warming the egg, like it's incubating it. The cobra and the camel are incubating the golden egg. And there was something about C words yesterday. Not C words, but like containers, cartons, cases at work. It was like containers and cases and cartons. And they were like, so wait, there's this of that and that of this. And it was like, no, this of that. And he was like, sorry, like all these C words got me kind of confused. And then we had the camel and the cobra. So that's just a fun little Easter egg to my day yesterday. The golden Easter egg. So the flame, the dead end. This is very like the dead end for me in this deck is the dead end in general has taken on this energy of platform 9 3/4. For those who are in the know, they know that the dead end is not a dead end. But for those who are not, the dead end like looks like any other dead end. It looks like any other stop. But if you know the secret password, you can like walk through the dead end and it reveals that there's like a path that is further yet within it. And then we have the destroyer. The destroyer might brute force its way through the dead end. Also, with this, it's very almost Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider Lara Croft, or that's the image in my mind. Like, it's for someone who knows that the dead end isn't a dead end, but they don't necessarily know the secret of it. And so it's like they're by candle flame, they're inspecting the dead end, trying to find a thing where you press it in, and then the stone circle thing like rolls off to the side. It's like that's the spot in the dead end where you push the pressure panel and then it unlocks. I mean, but if I read it that way, what is that unlocking? It's unlocking the destroyer. The dead end unlocking the destroyer gives me the energy of the Dragonborn looter who went into that hidden city to try to find some kind of treasure, but then it like unleashed the wretched mind, the wretched brain, the evil tentacle brain monster when I was using the Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering cards, unleashed an ancient evil upon the world. Um, but outside of that, the destroyer, it seems like it tries to brute force its way through the dead end rather than like figuring out the puzzle. It just like destroys the whole wall and reveals that there's something on the other side. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you can put your hand on the pressure panel or you could light some C4 and it works just as well. Oh, look, look, look. There's also a person like holding their hand out into the dark at the top of the judge. And then there's someone receiving at the bottom. Or they're saying like stop anyway. What does this have to do with today? Oof. Well, Mars and Libra, Mars conjunct the South Node was interesting because I didn't know if it would manifest as like a bunch of trauma responses or being triggered into doing something the way that we used to do something. Almost being called out of our current character and into a previous one, falling prey to vices of old. Um, but if we can remain centered enough in the now that we have a little bit more agency, maybe when we're faced with certain situations, we can navigate it in a way that will bring us something that we didn't receive before. We can go beyond the dead end of the situation and we can get even more out of it. Like, let's say that somebody used to do something and you would like blow up. And so it'd be like conversation over. We're not talking about this anymore. But it's like, let's say in this case scenario, it's like there's this whole thing that they're going to tell you, and they get this far and you blow up, so they don't get to tell you the good news on the back half of it. Well, you just blew your opportunity and falling into that old trauma response, South Node, whatever. But if you could have remained present enough to keep listening, you would have heard throughout the further revealing of it that it actually isn't whatever of the past. It's actually the thing that you want. Now, there is also this golden band here. So if we are talking of trauma responses, the destroyer would be able to like break this loop. It could be breaking cycles. But back to the craziness of today, the flame, the dead end, the destroyer, and the judge. 6, 9, 5, and 5. 23 is a 5. 14 is a 5. Oh, that's 40. That's a 4. I saw the X and the L, and my brain went 9. 4, 5, 5, 6. 51 is a 6. I almost wonder too, because like I'm reading this destroyer a few ways. Like let's say that we navigate to the dead end and we realize that the dead end is not a dead end, but we're struggling to find the pressure plate, right? We're struggling to find the pressure plate. We're using our candlelight trying to find it. Or maybe we're like trying to read an inscription on the wall or something like that. The destroyer on the other side of that dead end notices you, sees something about you, and destroys, takes down the dead end from that side and pulls you through. So it's almost like something that's solved for you. And then in that case, like the judge makes me think of the three judges of the underworld, Iacchus, Rhadamanthus, and Minos. And how I was speaking of today being a very special Libra to me's birthday. When I was staying with him in Columbus, that's when I did the three judges. I built spreads off of the stories, off of Wikipedia, Iacchus, Rhadamanthus, and Minos, and then I pulled it. And I wish I would have like actually written the spreads down somewhere and saved it, because there's been a handful of times where I've wanted to pull them again, but I didn't have it. And I was like, oh, I can just rewatch it and build the spreads. And I was like, oof. Then I'd have to rewatch it. I'd have to watch 5 hours of it. Anyway. And since we see 2, I would say it tends more towards Rhadamanthus and Iacchus. But anyway. The eagle, the whale, and the bear. I think the bear is like actually the first. And it's pretty early in its suit. Like I think the elk is the master of Earth, but bear energy in general is very powerful. So, um, the flame, the dead end, the destroyer, and the judge. Maybe like the destroyer is giving me the energy of the wolf and the wild unknown animal spirits, the wolf that waits and that watches. So I almost wonder if, because again, with the flame and the dead end, it's how we conduct ourselves or how we go about investigating this dead end or in the energy of a dead end. And it may be something like, again, whether or not we break a cycle by our own actions, words, deeds, whatever. If we break that cycle, then the dead end crumbles and we're welcomed into what lies beyond it, which was whatever was behind platform 9 3/4, the wizarding world, right? Okay. It might be my connection. It might, um, I'm going to look for the wolf. Raised by wolves. There's a fire ant at the bottom of the deck. We're getting all the fire because, again, the lizard just could not by itself. Sorry, I just saw the elk. It was with the elephant, the elephant. Who am I looking for? The wolf. The wolf is at like the top of the deck. I'm still going. There's the wolf. We got the spider and the gazelle. Shout out to the rare gazelle. Boom, boom, boom. The spider and the gazelle. The gazelle is also fire, which is interesting because a whole bunch of water came out. Anyway, so the wolf is in between the buffalo and the firefly. So yeah, it's like we would be the firefly. This is us holding the flame up to the dead end. This little light in the otherwise night. This little light in the night would be us in the firefly. And then on the side of the destroyer, behind the veil, behind the brick wall, like it almost reads as a veil, but it's like as solid as a brick wall. You know what I mean? Like veils are these thin and shimmering, flimsy things. The dead end is a brick wall. If not just like, it's a lot more solid. But anyway, there's the mightier light in the night. And then here's like the lightning of the buffalo. It seems like today, welcome back. So if you missed it, I went and looked before and after the wolf because of the destroyer. And I was like, oh, firefly is a little light in the night, which was the flame in the dead end. If I could pick up the dead end. Little light in the night is firefly. And then from the wolf, behind the wolf sits the mighty buffalo with its lightning. And then we have the wolf sitting with these like this what do you call them? A system with 2 stars instead of one, like 2 suns instead of 1 sun. I feel like this gave no real whatever, but it seems like today was a day of beginnings in some way. Now, is it the opening of a testing trial period? Is it a time where things begin to move in ways that we're not even necessarily aware of? It's like today could have been the day that you cross paths with someone who's going to be significant in your life, but you're strangers and you didn't even know. Today was the day that you went to Disney World and you took your pictures, and then in 20 years you're going to meet somebody and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I was at Disney World on October 4th. I almost said 10th. I was at Disney World I was at Disney World on October 4th, 2023. We should compare pictures, and then you notice that like you're in the background of each other's pictures. So like today was the day that you were both sharing the same space, where you were so close and in the vicinity of this thing that you weren't even aware of until it actually fully like came down and manifested. What's the lightning going to do? I think it depends. Lightning does nothing without a ground, right? It's like it's the tree or it's the metal rod or it's the something that calls the lightning down from the heavens. The lightning needs a ground in the buffalo. And maybe that's what the judge, destroyer, the wolf waiting behind the brick wall. Like the ground is the flame, the ground is the firefly. Or maybe it's like, let's see, I got some tarot. Let's pull some tarot. What is the lightning? Oh, well. Literally, as soon as I start shuffling. Oof. The high priestess and the father of swords immediately turn over. That's a ground. It's a sword. Like you stick the sword in the ground. It conducts electricity. Well, I'm assuming it's some kind of metal, but it's like this rainbow metal. So now we get this like the I talked about chakras, right? Oh yeah, because I was like, it's pink. It's the color of the higher heart, so it's good for my energy body. This lightning comes in to like an aligned channel. I don't know if the lightning aligns the channel as it surges through the body because it takes the path of least resistance, or lightning takes like the shortest pathway. But it's almost like in order to have the body safely conduct that level of juice without frying and dying, honestly, it's like the body force aligns to create this pathway that will like miss all of the major organs or whatever. And then you end up with a cool not a tattoo, but the lightning scars on your back from like being struck rather than like, again, being a pile of ash on the ground. Because the quickest path was like through the lungs, the heart, the brain, and everything else that one needs to function and survive. So now this would bring into question the stingray, which I remember seeing. The stingray may have been around, oh, it's literally right here. Guess where the stingray is? It's in between two more fire cards. We have the lion, which is okay. Finally, I feel like we get to the master of the element of fire. We have the lion, the stingray, and the tarantula. The tarantula is the spider that's like different than other spiders. So this is interesting. Like I feel like it's taken this whole roundabout way again to get to the master of fire, or to get to a fire energy that more seemingly uh is comparable to the whale in water, the eagle in the sky, and the bear on the earth. The lion, Leo, Venus. Yeah. Oh, especially for Mars. Mars is fire. It's the way that we use it. Mars is in Libra. So, it's a test. And it's conjuncting the South Node. So maybe the greatest test today was not going off on people, you know. Fortunately for me, I've spent most of the day asleep, but I guess I did have the first 6 hours. But I guess like I feel like my Mars in Libra, I guess this is interesting because my Mars and Libra experience today was from the outside. Like I wasn't in the fire, in the pot, on the skillet, bubbling in the cauldron. I was an observer from the outside of things that were cooking. And I took a very like for me South Node approach, which is like being overly understanding or whatever. And I was like, well, this is which is probably also very Libran. And I was like, well, like this is happening and blah blah blah. But this person da 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 da, da, and because they da 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 da, and they feel a certain type of way about this, then they react and respond in this way, and then like everyone's almost sort of like reacting. And anyway, and then I went to sleep. But anyway, the South Node isn't always bad, which is why I really like a Vedic approach. The thing that I love about the Vedic approach to like Rahu Ketu is that it's like it's the head and the tail, or the head and the body of the dragon. And the dragon needs both to live and survive. I feel like a more tropical approach to the nodes is like you completely embrace and progress towards your north node, and it's to be a full separation, isolation from the south node, because the south node is nothing but previous karmic baggage, and the north node is your purpose and destiny in life. And it's like we're living, growing, evolving beings, we can take on from our past something to make our futures even bigger and better and brighter, or we can continuously try to reinvent the wheel as we pursue making an automobile. And it's like, eventually you got to get past the wheel. And will an automobile function better with like better tires or whatever? Yeah. Does the terrain matter? Like maybe you were in this terrain in the past and you're going into a different terrain, so you need a new wheel. So you have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. But at some point, you got to get to the chassis, the body, the rest of the car. And sometimes, they say those who don't learn from their pasts are doomed to repeat it. And the study of astrology is apparently 5,000 whatever plus years of humanity repeating the same things over and over and over and over within an astrological transit. Anyway, I feel like, I'm starting to digress. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so it's taken all of this to make it to the lion. And it actually took, it actually took a complete departure from the element of fire through the watcher, but not really. Because the firefly with the wolf is the flame at the dead end, and the flame is quite literally the element of fire. So it's because the fire of the lizard was, it's like the fire of, that's what I was going to talk about in Reem's reading, the Taurus reading. And I was going to send her a voice note because she was like, just because something is getting simpler doesn't mean it's getting less powerful, because like this is a primal intuition. And it made me think of at work, we had this extreme, it smells so good, but we had this extremely concentrated, very, very pure vanilla. And it's like we use less of that in an entire batch than you would use vanilla at home to make like a cake or cookies or whatever. And so like it's so extremely like pure and concentrated that you need like such like minuscule amounts in order to like accomplish the same effect. But if you didn't know that, you'd F up. But that goes back to that energy of like adding salt and seasoning to a dish before we even try it. And so maybe there's an energy of assumption here as well, especially coming in on that South Node conjunct Mars. Because we assume something is a certain way, we already act as if it were. That goes like to the whole conversation, but we get this far and we cut the person off and then we miss out on an opportunity. And if you've watched me for some time, you know that I'm not the type of person that's going to be on here that's like, you never miss an opportunity that is for you ever, because I don't believe that that's true. I believe that we have opportunities that are ours and we can forfeit them. We can give them up. We cannot pursue them. And will another opportunity come at some point? Sure. But that opportunity that was ours, we gave away. And it's because of it's like an us thing. It's always understandable. But just because it's understandable doesn't mean that it wasn't meant for us. And I think sometimes in order for us to like feel good about ourselves and our lives and our progression on our spiritual journeys and like all the shadow work and stuff, we try to like deep dive into a Neptunian delusion. Like where Neptune is the deceiver and like all of the negative qualities of Neptune, like that's what we seek out Neptune for. It's no different than going to a drug and alcohol or any other substance to alter your own brain chemistry to perceive a situation in a different way because you can't handle the reality of it. And again, at different points, like I know this part sounds like very harsh, but at different points of our lives and at different stages of our developments, there are some things that we cannot handle. There are very, very, very bad things that happen to people that there isn't any like positive or whatever. You know what I mean? So like it's not to cast judgment, but at the same time, like we are seeking out an alter perspective. It's like I was just thinking about before I came live, like the birth of Christianity was literally some king dude who was Catholic who wanted to divorce his wife because his wife wasn't giving him sons, but he couldn't do that under Catholicism. So what he came up with a whole new branch religion just to be able to divorce his wife. And then it made me think of all of the ways that the Bible has been translated, mistranslated, retranslated, used to justify all kinds of terrible things. And it's like, no, we twist and contort and distort the word to fit what we want to do in life, rather than having a life that is more aligned to it, or rather than using it as a tool to navigate beyond our circumstances. We use it to justify where we are and try to like play. And it's like, can you do it? Yeah. Will you experience some at least moderate progression, movement, success? Yeah. But like that opportunity was for you and you blew it. Nobody wants to feel like that. Nobody wants to be told that, but sometimes it's the truth. And it's our inability to face the truth that actually prevents us from receiving, achieving, progressing towards better in the future. It's because nobody wants to be the bad guy, or nobody wants to be the villain, or nobody wants to do whatever, that they can't fully acknowledge and correct their behaviors and patterns that keep them playing in the same dynamics. But, we're going to do this diluted, watered down, baby, whatever. And it's like if you keep feeding a baby food, if you keep feeding an adult baby food, it's internal digestive, just like this lizard, because the lizard can't regulate its own body heat and temperature. Like whales are mammals, so they can. Bears are mammals, so they can. Eagles are birds, so maybe not as much. But it's like if you never graduate to adult food, then your digestive system never acclimates to breaking down more complex or whatever things. So you remain incapable of handling more. It's just like flavor profiles that are more like robust, and textures that aren't mushy garbage. You know what I mean? It's like we do ourselves ultimately a disservice. And sometimes we don't have to get full into it, but yeah, ultimately we do ourselves a disservice when we can't own up to and acknowledge, like, hey, yeah, I messed up there. But we'll stay on this side. Anyway, back to this. There's the flame, there's the firefly, there's this tiny light that is observed on the other side through the brick wall. So, if it can be seen through the brick wall, it has to be pretty bright. Now, the shimmering, thin, flimsy veil, it doesn't have to be as bright because the veil is, thinner than a wall. But it's because that light is seen that some energy on the other side breaks through and sends this surge of lightning through our bodies that as the energy comes in, it's like it forces us into this quick alignment. And then that's when we reach, and that's why I pulled the stingray, because it has all of the energy centers aligned. Then we get to the master of fire. But it takes all of that. And again, it takes a complete departure from the element of fire just to get us to the point. I forget I misplaced it. Here it is. It takes this complete departure from the element of fire just to get us into a space where we are comparable to the bear, the eagle, and the whale. Now, this is like the potential, but if we can't, I don't know, it's a people thing. It's fine. Oof, not the fire. There's my, I mean, I guess, no, that really isn't my south node, actually. That's my north node in Sagittarius that just came out. Because my south node, Gemini, is like, again, it's over explaining, over sympathizing, over being overly compassionate, not really holding people accountable, and kind of sort of like sitting in situations for a lot longer than I need to, over justifying. And it's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. Because Patrick deserves better. Patrick treats Patrick better now, and Patrick knows that he deserves better. Does that come with a whole bunch of uncomfortable stuff? Yeah. But is Patrick going to face all of that uncomfortable stuff to get what he wants? Of course. You know what I mean? Like, and Patrick can hold Patrick accountable too. But also, like, I'm low key like a different breed. Um, like, I don't mind being told that I'm wrong, and I don't mind looking stupid, because I'd rather be right or eventually like get right than continue to be wrong because I can't handle the fact that I was wrong, or because I don't want to look a certain way. It's like, to me, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? To some people, it is, just to feel that they are in a position of whatever, or they look a certain way. Teach their own. And again, like, the thing about the divine is that it finds us wherever we are, right? So ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter, because eventually, if that point is to be reached, eventually we reach the point where we get there anyway. You know what I mean? I just think sometimes it could be a lot quicker if we didn't have to be always so, like, I don't even know what the word is. How you doing, David? I don't know if I said hi. It's just like, yeah, we can take like the elementary route, and it'll be like about 10 to 20 lifetimes, because it's like, oh, like, nothing that is for you, you miss, and like, you're perfect. You make no mistakes in life. There is no right, there is no wrong. And maybe, sure, yeah, true. There is no right and there is no wrong, because we all have a part to play. But for us to get where we want, and for us to be who we want, and for us to experience what we want, then it's like, yeah, there is a right way and a wrong way to go about it. There's a wrong way to go about having $1 million if you constantly spend every single penny that you make in a way that does not further generate income. If you squander your money, then you're never going to build a savings. And there's no wrong way to go about it. Okay. And again, it's one of those things where I feel like we just are so avoidant to accountability and so many other things, that we'd rather take the long way than to sit, face, recognize, and realize, and learn the right way, or a more proper way to go about things. But that is also the power of our free will. We have the freedom to choose to delay, or to neglect, or to never receive through our actions. And then we also have the freedom to feel a sort of entitlement to the divine, where we think we deserve it anyway. I feel like I've kind of gotten off a little bit, but at the same time, what came out came out. And I'm not going to apologize about it. I feel like old Patrick is back. Excuse me. I was talking to my journey buddy. I was like, yeah, these past few readings have been like kind of not me. Like, and it's been a nice departure. You know what? I've said that every time. Let's go into the no, we'll use tarot. Let's clarify with the tarot, because maybe I am wrong. And like I said, like, there are different things that work for different people. And that's why, like, using your own intuition, discernment is the most important thing, because your path is going to be the right path for you. Like the path of least resistance with the lightning aligns us in a way. Our bodies are all subtly different enough that the path for lightning may not necessarily be what? Wait, because C is back to C. Costa? I don't know. I saw Clarinda say C, and I was like, Costa? uh, our bodies are all subtly different enough that one person's energetic alignment to have this high priestess whatever moment is not necessarily going to be the same. Like our swords are made, even if our swords are produced the same, it's like the alloy ratio may be different, or the level of like relative impurity or purity may be different. And because like a master blacksmith will know how to work with the element that is before him, because he is so involved in the process that while he's forging it, he knows, rather than just going like, oh, I'm going to do this one the same way I do everyone. Just like a baker, sometimes the oven bakes up fast, sometimes it bakes up slow, which is why you check throughout. You don't just sit it in there and not watch it. And it's like, oh, well, they always come out perfectly done in 20 minutes, so I don't have to do anything. Because sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it gets done way fast. And especially if you get a new oven, or if you get a new stove, or if you used to cooking stuff on like 6, 7, 8, but your new stove and your new pans is like cooking on 5 from personal experience. And you're like, oh my gosh, why is this cooking so fast? If you're not involved in the process, you're going to eat burnt, undercooked food all the time. But like when you know you, like your energetic alignments are going to be different. But again, it's like the destroyer and the judge that lies on the other side of this brick wall. It sees the light of the firefly, it sees the light of the flame, and it responds accordingly. But in that, we almost have to be a lot quicker, or a lot more intuitive, or a lot more flexible, because it's almost like when a teacher or a parent or an outside observer recognizes within us that we are ready for something that we may not necessarily yet feel ready for. We can be put into a position to perform while we still doubt or while we still question. But as long as we stick to our guns, as long as we continue to use those self-knowledge strengths, as long as we pull on the wisdom of everything that we've learned and we continue to be actively engaged in the process, we'll keep moving further and further forward, rather than, being triggered and falling into some self-doubt, low self-esteem, self-worth. I can't do this. I quit before I even start. And it's like that was the miraculous happening. That was the very thing that you prayed for. You got put there. You may not necessarily feel ready for it yet, but you are. Just do your best to stay grounded, stay present, and don't give up. But, human's gonna human. It's understandable. We get thrust into things before we feel that we're ready for them. And there are things that we don't realize or recognize, and we miss out on that opportunity. But there is almost raw alchemical, like that missed opportunity, depending on how we handle it, depending on how we engage with the situation afterward. A missed opportunity can become a bridging opportunity to something even greater. In a missed opportunity, we can realize and recognize things that we didn't in the moment. And we can move forward in a way that is more trusting or prepared to do the uncomfortable. We can learn to walk in the dark. Or that missed opportunity becomes the biggest mistake of our lives, and then we sulk and we fall into a sort of like grief not even grief, but just like a depression about it. And it's like, every good thing that comes my way in life, I sabotage and I do this and I do that. And we fall more into guilting, shaming, blaming ourselves than like learning, seeing, recognizing, growing so that when it comes back around, we move forward. And in that way, there are no missed opportunities. What is for you is for you, and it will always find you. But just because it finds you doesn't mean that you will receive and recognize it. So, anyway, the flame to lightning, oof. That's why, like Avatar The Last Airbender, lightning benders are fire benders. And I was like, oof, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's like the difference between the red fire and the blue fire. And even when you have like a burner, as you adjust the thing and you like hone the flame. Anyway, it's fine. Oh yeah, so let me grab these tarot cards to see if I'm just full of it today. Who is that? Bottom of the deck is a Five of Pentacles. It's like you hurt someone's feelings. Oh well. My number one fan is watching. She's like, yeah, that's the truth of Patrick. I hurt your feelings. Oh well. Maybe your feelings needed to be hurt. Because what Patrick ain't gonna continue to do is have hurt feelings over. No. Patrick don't need that in his life. The Three of Pentacles, the Mountain. The 5 plus the 3 is the 8. The 8 of Pentacles just came out. The 8 of Earth and the Good Tarot had the cello on it, talking about the timber. And the cello had the 4 different polarities. It was feminine, masculine, tangible, intangible, internal, and external. Those were the 3 that came out. The Diceology also has hot and cold, but that didn't come out. And then I don't think the Diceology has a light and dark in the same card. Liquid light that carves its way through night has light and dark in it. But anyway, like with the Three of Pentacles, there's this understanding because of the mountain. There's an understanding of how difficult and how challenging life can be when we are basically wired to constantly pursue better and to want more, but we only have what was instilled in us. We only have the experiences that we've had, but we constantly seek other experiences. And it's like, how do you know to responsibly manage millions of dollars if you're only used to like 20s? Or you're used to living like paycheck to paycheck, or like being in a much more scarce and much more conscientious sort of state of being and living, to the point where it's like you don't necessarily have disposable income to go and enjoy like life when it comes to like vacationing or like treating yourself or doing whatever, or just like having enough disposable income to afford more consistently other like necessities that aren't the big ones. It's like it's a completely different life experience. And again, like this energy came out, I think it was before the Fairy Quickies, or it might have been during one of them. Because I was like, well, what is there to teach us how to like acclimate to experiences that we've never had? And the Hierophant came out. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like that's what spirituality, in Patrick's opinion, like that's what spirituality is there for, or that's what it's there to help us to do, to grow closer and get closer to the divine that pours back into us, that strengthens our intuition and discernment, that bolsters our ability to walk in the dark, to handle and face and address the unknown, and to be as best powerfully present as we can be. And to also realize and recognize that our experiences have been our experiences. Like the South Node, in a not great way, like when we go too far into the South Node, is when we don't allow the present or the future to bring us anything that has not been or is not our past. I just realized I'm on Top Chat. I think like Top Chat and Live Chat are like fairly synced on my side. Um, but it's like, yeah, so like Patrick might say F your feelings, but Patrick also understands. You know what I mean? Because again, it's like if we take out every means of being accountable in our lives and in our choices and decision making, it doesn't really serve us any more than like constantly blaming ourselves. Like we don't have to get caught up on the mistakes and we don't have to get like become mired in failures of the past, but when we don't learn from them, we repeat them. And to go like, oh, like you make no mistakes. It's almost as if like making mistakes is a bad thing. It happens. We're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to put these extreme connotations on it. No. But if we don't handle them, address them, face them, own up to them, like those are the things that get us up the mountain. It's the failures and the successes from the past that teach us or help us, instruct us in pursuing higher and higher and higher. And as long as we continue to fail to do that, it's like there are tools and resources that we're not really utilizing. So now I'm going to look before and after the Eight of Cups. Ooh, look what's behind this. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Why are you in reverse? You're going upright. So behind that Five of Pentacles is the Ace of Swords. You see the lightning in the Ace of Swords. You see the snake around the sword. Again, like the lightning. This is what came out when Eve was like, what that lightning do? High Priestess was like, that lightning aligns you. Behind that Five of Pentacles is this Ace of Swords. And then behind that is the transformation of the butterfly, Six of Wands. And then behind that, when I was like, lightning does nothing unless it's grounded, behind that is the Eight of Wands. The thing that grounds the lightning, that brings it in. The thing that calls to the lightning. And then behind that is the Queen of Pentacles. From the Five of Pentacles to the Queen of Pentacles, Mother of Pentacles. And the first step is to face it and acknowledge it and address it, but not to be lost in it, to overcome it. And then to be in a position that we call the lightning in towards us. Because one thing that can happen is that like it may be a time where we realize that like a lot of people around us are experiencing blessings and like positive forward momentum. And we're like, well, why is it skipping over me? Why am I not also being blessed? Why do I feel like left out and abandoned? And it's like, well, girl, did you do what you were told to do? Have you been following your intuition and discernment and listening? Or have you been like doing the same thing that you always do over and over and over and over again, hoping for a different result when you already know you're being told to do differently, but you're comfortable in doing what you've been doing. And the other thing may require you to do something different. It may be challenging. You might not think it'll work. But if you listen to your intuition and you do it anyway, well, guess what? It makes you a prime candidate for the next wave of lightning that comes in for you to receive and go from that Five of Pentacles to the Queen of Pentacles. But then, yeah, as long as we don't, there's a Five of Cups. Like, oh, well, it's never me. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's never you. And it's never going to be you if you keep proceeding in the way that you're proceeding. And it's like sometimes we're so averse to harsh truths and realities that we keep ourselves stuck. We want to be lied to. I remember I went to one of the witching hours where it's just like a place for people in the community. There's a spiritual community in my local community now, right? To come together and like talk about their journey, share their wisdom, ask questions or whatever. And there are a few readers who are there, and they were like, sometimes when I read this for certain people, like they get upset or they get angry. And somebody was like, why would anybody get upset like at a reading? And I was like, because we all want to hear that we're perfect, we're gorgeous, we're amazing, we're doing everything right. And we don't want to be called out on the things that we're not actually like owning up to and like doing. Who wants to be told that they're wrong unless you're a weirdo like Patrick? Like, who wants to hear that? Nobody. And so we sacrifice actual fulfillment, actual forward progression for the sake of soothing little crybaby wow wow egos. And again, it's like, keep feeding me baby food. And it's like, well, Patrick's ready for a steak. Okay. You ain't even got to cook it. I'm just playing. I am not eating raw meat. If I am the type, I don't like being reminded that my food was alive. I always tell people I'm a few bad experiences from becoming a vegetarian. Um, and then some people be like, well, if you can't look at meat or if you can't cook meat, you shouldn't eat it. And I was like, oh, well, I can't cook vegetables either. So you want me to starve? There are people who are chefs, and there are people who are like me that take their money to the chefs. And it's because of people like me that chefs can afford a living. So I'm doing my part by not cooking for myself. And then when the chef needs something from me, then they come to me, and that's how we progress and proceed forward as a society. Patrick is not a rock, is not an island. Patrick ain't got to do it all. Anyway, this ain't about Patrick. Everything, not everything, most things, like this is how I feel. This is my perspective, and it's different for everybody. We all have our own truths. Ooh, not the scorpion and this is the scorpion and the butterfly. That's what we're doing today. If you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen. Go back home and eat your cold. Let me stop. Can I blend this on the alcohol? No, because I'm like this without it. Anyway, the hawk. Oh, the hawk and the gazelle. I love the gazelle. I love the gazelle for obvious reasons because I love Miss Remy. Miss Remy Healing. She is not Miss Remy Healing's no mo. She's the rare gazelle now. I mean, I loved her as Miss Remy Healings. I love her as the rare gazelle. I love her in all of her iterations and seasons and cycles, from caterpillar to butterfly to phoenix to whatever lies beyond. Anyway, but the thing about the gazelle in this deck for me, because of Reem, has come to be us in our full truth. And if you don't know, Reem shared it. Like, Reem is a word for a rare white gazelle. But because it has become basically endangered and then extinct, it has come to mean deer, because that which it originally meant no longer exists in the world. And so it's been substituted. But the gazelle, because there's also a deer in this deck, the gazelle is no substitution energy. The gazelle is this: I am who I am, and as I was intended and created to be. You ain't getting no deer from me because you can't handle gazelle. No. Oh, you haven't seen a reem in your life, so you think that there's some mythical creature that doesn't actually exist? That has no bearing on me. Watch you not be able to conceive of and conceptualize my existence. Watch you mischaracterize and misjudge me because you can't conceive of one like me. Has no bearing on me. I don't have to change. You can be stuck in your whatever you got going on over there. That's what the Reem means to me. I'm just sorry. Anyway, did I say I love Reem? Like, I love Reem. But because she shared that, like, that's what the gazelle has come to mean to me. And it's like, it's in this pure blank void space. There is the sun of this absolute truth, and there is the gazelle. As it is. regardless of if we can. But because the hawk is going like for the gazelle, because you can see it's going from this world of black through the color to the white to see the truth of what the gazelle is, to see the truth of Reem. Reem as, the gazelle, not Reem as in Reem. Oh, she is very real. I remember there was a brief point in time where people were like, "Is Patrick a spirit? Like, is Patrick a spirit guy?" And it's like, no, Patrick is real Karuk, and he's in the live chat right now. But yeah, like the hawk has reached an altitude and acceleration, has reached an alignment, all the A words, to be able to see the gazelle in its truth, to be able to perceive the gazelle in its truth. And it's up to us to begin embodying that truth without the restrictions and constrictions and I feel like I'm missing the word, but without the restrictions of present day reality or the state of like the world, right? Like there are people who are extremely kind, compassionate, empathic, empathetic, who are just like these amazing, gorgeous like beings. But they look at the world and they look at, how people treat people like that in the world, and they go, well, I can't be that. I have to be this tough, whatever, because people nowadays don't appreciate people like me. So I am going to contort and twist myself into something that I am not in order to better fit. I'm going to become the deer because they can't handle gazelles. And then the swan is under that with the golden egg under the swan. Again, we see that it's like, I guess, first we must see ourselves because the hawk is approaching that space, the gazelle is sitting in it, and then the swan is coming in, and within that space, in this space, sees something in their reflection. And now, because the swan is in that space whole, it's bringing color. It's like it's building a world with these, yellows, greens, and blues. It's building a world in this space from this truth rather than trying to carve out a space for that truth in the outside world. It flips the polarity. It does it in a different way. But anyway. Yeah, I'm like, what? No, I'm very much so real. I mean, not to say that I haven't, that I'm not. Maybe I am a spirit guide, When I go to sleep, I'm a spirit guide. When I'm awake, I'm this. I almost said this mess, but, aren't we all a mess in a way? And isn't it our mess that makes us gorgeous? Find the ones that see the treasure in your trash. Ooh, the gem. Yes, please. Look at all that. Anyway. Ooh, it's been an hour and a half. Okay. I do want to get one. Oh, it's already 9:00. I know it's getting pretty late. It'll be folks' bedtime here soon. But I am just going to go for an alchemy and the tarot because I haven't grabbed the alchemy yet. You want to be a spirit guide when I grow up? I don't want to be a spirit guide when I grow up because I feel like my karma would be to be a spirit guide to somebody like me. And I don't want that. If I'm being real honest, I don't even know. I feel like if I were my spirit, well, I guess on the spirit side of things, my compassion and my patience would be expanded exponentially. So maybe I would have the patience to be my own spirit guide, but if I were to take me to the other side and be my spirit guide, I'll give up. I'm like, you know what? You don't want to do this? You don't have to. You don't want to listen? I don't have to speak. You'll get it when you get it, and you'll see it when you see it. Until you're ready, I will be over here living my best spirit life. And when you're ready to be guided, I will be there. And until then, I will be here. Good luck. But then also knowing me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you were right. I see it now. And then the satisfaction that I get out of that, it might be worth it. I don't know. I'm kidding. All right. One of these would be perfect. So I'm just going to grab this. Oh, two. I wanted one. We have Copper Eris and Autumn Autumnus. It is officially autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. We've had the autumnal equinox. So it's Libra season. It's the fall up here. Autumn and Copper. The bottom of the deck is Heroes Gamos, Alchemical Wedding. You see the black and the white and the white and the black and these two snakes coming together. Together. We got Earth. We got Venus. Venus is about to enter Virgo here soon. Oops. All right, now we get some tarot to see what this is. I mean, autumn is obviously autumn. Autumn Copper. The Copper of Autumn. And then I'll read it after I get a few cards. Of jumper cables? Oh, snap. Oof. Man. This card was the first thing that Libra season was bringing us. It's the Three of Swords. I guess the Three of Swords makes sense for autumn because it is the beginning of the end. Because, in winter, everything's dead. Three of Wands. Ends are just beginnings. And pain is the point through which the opposite of pain can come in. Jumper cables, lightning, fire, or more so lightning with jumper cables. Oof. Hope you're ready for a jump. All right. Ace of Pentacles. And then Justice at the bottom of the deck. Under Justice is the Two of Cups. And under the Two of Cups is the Seven of Wands. And then there's our Mother of Pentacles again. Stand out, do above the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud. I wanna stand out till you notice me. Guess what's behind the two snakes of the Heroes Gamos? Is the Ouroboros the baby of these two snakes? It does have all of the colors. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen Mercury in this deck before. I don't think I've ever seen Mercury. That does not look familiar to me at all. But under Mercury is Conjunctio. And we see that Ouroboros, black and white, and all the colors. Mercury, and there's that, Mercury is in Libra now. Oh, see the Two of Cups, the meeting of these two gives, so the Seven of Wands would almost be like the Ouroboros. Again, it's like the point of pain is where we have the most to gain, which makes sense. It makes sense in terms of like if there's an area of our life where we've experienced constant disappointment, frustration, and like pain, it would make sense that it would stand to reason that that's also the area of life where we have the most to gain, where we've experienced the most disappointment, is where we have the possibility to find the most elation. But we have to be open to it. If we become bitter and jaded by our pain to the point where we never allow ourselves to receive anything different, to the point of when we do receive different, we self sabotage or we treat it as something that it is not. Again, we cut it off here, when if we like wait a little bit longer, we would see, we would hear, we would observe how the story begins to like unfold in a new way. And then by the time you get down here, you're like full tears, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was happening. I was this close to like, but something told me just shut up and listen. Just shut up and keep listening. Just shut up and keep listening. And then you're like, oh, okay, all right. See, that's how I know that there's a God that loves me and cares about me, because I was ready to go off. I was ready to miss this whole opportunity. I was ready to look the other way and not turn back. Three of Swords, Three of Wands, Ace of Pentacles. And in the Ace of Pentacles, like it is that most raw, most vulnerable, most sore spot in the middle where all those cracks align. The Three of Swords in this deck in particular, for me, is a card that symbolizes how hurt and pain from the past can prevent us from experiencing anything different in the future. Like these three swords bound by that red string create a blockage and a barrier to this corridor that lies beneath. It's like if there's this hallway, and there's a corridor, like it branches off. There are these three swords, and we go like, oh, can't get past that. And it's dark. You know, I was talking about earlier, being comfortable walking in the darkness, being comfortable in scenarios and situations and seasons where we're not comfortable. And so we would flee the dark in search of familiar light that is not too bright, because the Ace of Pentacles comes after. But it's like, you know, if we get comfortable, or if we can be brave enough to continue down that pathway and that corridor, we see this portal to something like amazing and magical. And then it's like it becomes our real life with the Ace of Pentacles. Like the Pentacle is manifest. We also have air, fire, and earth. There's no, oh, here's the water, the Two of Cups. I was like, there's no water here. Three swords, three wands, one pentacle, two cups, justice, and the Seven of Wands. That is, speaking of the rare gazelle, that's gate, I want to say gate 2 with Goddess Ninlil, and how she would like wring out the pain and it would water a seed that would turn into something beautiful. And again, this is relative. You know, there is a certain class of experience that is not salvageable. You know, sometimes the best that we can gain from an experience is to hope that it never happens again, and to do our best to, I guess, ensure that it doesn't, and to like know what we don't want to experience. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes it's like, I just know that I don't want to do that again. And that is perfectly acceptable. Let's get the book. I think, yeah, it has Venus on here. Copper, and then autumn. I'll read both of them real quick. Autumn is 19, copper is 23. 23 was also the destroyer of pain, the bringer of pleasure. Eris, copper, I went for 23 first. This is fertility, the womb, and Venus. In ancient times, on an island called Cyprus, copper was mined extensively to make vessels and tools. This island is the same fertile ground of Aphrodite, the goddess associated with the planet Venus and the forces of love, pleasure, and fertility. Such is the magic of copper. This golden hued metal elicits delight and mystique, even a sense of awe. The copper card marks the arrival of Eros into the laboratory. It is likely the alchemist has been hard at work for too long, prioritizing scholarly pursuits over sensual pleasure. Get ready for a shift of priorities, for an awakening of the heart and the life generating centers of the body. In the true alchemical experiment, nothing is excluded or separate from the work. Bring sensuality into the fold and embrace it with reverence and curiosity. Aphrodite smiles upon you. And like Venus rules Libra. So, with the sun, Mercury, at some point the moon, Mars, and the South Node all in, and Pallas Athena all in Libra. We have in esoteric wisdom traditions, Venus and copper are associated with the kidneys. A letting go is likely required in order to embrace Eros with open arms. Though bright and warm when polished, copper quickly oxidates, turning green or blue. Discern if a metaphorical polishing up is in order. It's interesting that copper turns green or blue because greens and blues were the colors that the swan was bringing into that otherwise void space. Green and blues were the color of that new world. That card just came out in the Disology, right? Dawn before the first day of a new world, and old earth passed away, a breathtaking sight. But anyway, those blues and greens were. Oh, look, there's the blue and green peacock at the bottom of the deck, but that's not what I was looking for. There are also blues, greens, and some purples in this Mother of Pentacles. So there you go. Autumn. Autumn is the last season. What? Autumnus, autumn, the culmination, the broad view, generosity. In alchemical terms, autumn is the denouement. I know this word because of freshman literature. Autumn is the denouement of Earth's grand narrative. It is the symbol of culmination, harvesting, and resolution. The story of our year finds closure, and we begin to look forward. We begin to look toward the horizons of the next one. It is likely this card will appear as an indicator of efforts culminating, of hard work paying off, of fruit hanging low for the taking. Gratitude and generosity are the spirit of the season, so share the wealth of your fortune. Looking back, you realize many hands and hearts have helped you along the way. Holding tight to your bounty won't do you any good. The alchemist shares their wisdom and wealth. They offer their boons back to the world as part of the ongoing cycle. Be like an autumnal tree, come to fruition and then release. And the Queen of Pentacles is very, very, very much so about sharing her, abundance and generosity and warmth and like fertilitous intelligence. is that a word? Her knowledge of how to make things grow with the world. She do that. So this card nudges us to look at the big picture. It's a time to reflect back on the journey you've just completed. Free form writing and sending notes of thanks serve you well. Fall is related to the earth element and the cardinal direction of the west. You may be reminded of distant relatives or ancestors. Welcome them into your harvest celebration. Both of these cards are gorgeous. And again, like because the Three of Swords for me in this deck in particular almost tends towards or represents more of what lies beyond heartbreak and disappointment and what is possible when we can reach a space where we no longer allow our lives to be ruled by it or determined by things that have already happened in the past that we don't like. Like there's this brilliant, like amazing potential of like it's still potential, but it's potential that is on the cusp of realization. I think sometimes potential contextually can be this very nebulous, like maybe someday a miracle will occur and that will be my life. But this potential is so close to being reality that it's like a few minor tweaks and adjustments and we have it. Speaking of the work in the laboratory, it's almost like we're on the verge of a breakthrough. But if we quit and walk away, we might miss it. It makes me think of Fringe. Somebody was researching a cure, and because of interruption, he missed a moment of flash. It was a brief flash that he missed because of an interruption. But before that point, if he would have given up, he wouldn't have made it that far. Also, it might, with the South Node conjuncting Mars, or with the South Node with the South Node having any kind of influence right now. I mean, I guess it always does, but with it being so key in our grand cardinal cross, that is more anchored into the now based on the specific time I looked at the chart with the IC and the MC, rather than the T square of Capricorn, Libra, and opposite of Libra, Mars, Aries. Aries. The IC brought in Cancer. The IC is home, it's our comfortability, right? It's the environment. When we bring in an environment that is like loving and like generous and like whatever, then anyway, it's fine. Man, I lost it. So yeah, it doesn't really mention like the alchemy is all about the gorgeous, regenerative, progressive, fertile stuff of the now. And again, with the Three of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles, that is also very much so there. But the alchemy also did mention work. Both of them mentioned work. And Copper was like, you may be working so much. Oh, South Node, look at your notes. Reference your notes. That's what I was going to say. Reference your notes so you know what you've already done and you know what to sort of like try or do differently moving forward. Again, in researching a cure for something, you refer to your notes to find it. All of the experimentation, all of the experiences, all of the living is not for naught. The past is not for nothing. When we can use it to inform and create a better, bigger, brighter future, rather than refusing to see, witness, acknowledge, and then basically repeating it ad nauseum, ad infinitum, ad infinitum. Anyway. Good night, Eve. No problem. I'm gonna call it here too. I might not even get final cards. Yeah, I think this is as good of a space as any. And again, it's the Two of Cups and the Seven of Wands. This is the timber. Oh, this is literally timber. This wand stands out from the others. And because it is seen, it attracts in this thing that is like looking right at it. And again, I guess we have that energy. The two cats looking across this great space, waiting for the flame. There's the fire. There's the flame. There is the firefly that catches the attention, and then it's welcomed in. This time it's welcomed in a more loving and embracing Two of Cups rather than the connotation or whatever that the destroyer might bring up within an individual. But that Ten of Wands, again, is the temper. That's how we differentiate ourselves from others. That's how we differentiate who we are now from who we used to be in the past. And that is a great, well, that's low hanging fruit for what Mars conjunct South Node in Libra would be, especially in relation to others, because Libra. So I am gonna get final cards. Excuse me. I didn't think I would, but I gotta shuffle these anyway, so I might as well. I might as well. In a month, it'll be my 52nd birthday. It was about this time 5 years ago that my life completely fell apart, and I entered the darkest night of my soul. I entered a night so dark, I was like, okay, we're not going back there. We're not doing that again, because if we do, we're not going to be here. So anything and everything that I need to do to get where I want and to get out of this, I'm going to do. There is no attachment that I have to this life that is so great that I will risk ending up in this spot, in this position again. And I ain't looked back since. All right, final card from the tarot. Please. The Seven of Swords, with the Hangman at the bottom of the deck and the Fool behind the Hangman. 10 of Wands and the Star. This is that dead end. Oh, this time instead of the star being behind what is it? I feel like it's like a by something system. With the two stars with the destroyer, behind the dead end is the star. The light from the star actually shines from the other side. So this is a dead end that's a little easier to navigate because it kind of guides you on where the pressure plate is. And then behind that is the Five of Pentacles again. Choice, free will, you ain't gotta do, whatever. The Seven of Swords in this deck in particular is my card of birthright. When we are ready, when we come of age, when we reach a certain whatever, the fox will reveal the seventh sword. It's almost like all of these are fakes, and this one is Excalibur. And I think, a lot of times, especially when it comes to the Seven of Swords, we focus on the information that we're not getting, or we focus on whatever we're missing. This Seven of Swords in particular, because it's also my card of birthright, sometimes has a connotation of like truths that we're not ready for. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Sometimes there are truths that we can't handle, so we lie to ourselves. Or we seek out others that will tell us that lie. Even if the truth is that we are not as broken and unlovable and whatever as some people may have sort of made us feel or seem to be. It's like rather than, and I think sometimes maybe we need truths like that. Like, let's say that there is someone in your life who is supposed to be there for you, who is supposed to love you through nature of your relationship, but they don't. Then maybe in some way it can turn into like you need something to be wrong with you, or you need to be unlovable to justify the treatment that you got. Because it's like, if I'm not unlovable, then why didn't they love me? But again, because of that, it's like we might seek out other people that maybe subconsciously, we may subconsciously seek out other people who also don't treat us the way that we should be treated. But that uncomfortable truth again is that like you are lovable and there's nothing wrong with you. Um, and it can be difficult. You know, we're people and we live lives that are challenging and weird, and we do our best. I kind of forgot where that was going, but excuse me. Oh, because of the Seven of Swords being our card of birthright. Sometimes we lie to ourselves, or we want to be lied to. Or sometimes it's just like, you know, there's something that we can't yet process. And so even if we are told the truth, it's like we can't. It's almost like if someone tells you a truth, but you think that they're lying because you can't conceive of it's like the pieces don't fit. And so you're like, you have to be lying because like the pieces don't fit. Like that doesn't make sense. But then after you learn, discover, live life, grow more, you go, oh, okay. Now I get it. I see how this being true can lead to or result in this other thing. We have separatio, separation, number 70, as our final alchemical step. Bottom of the deck is conjunctio, conjunction, number 71. Conjunction and separation. Coming together, falling apart. Sometimes we fall apart to come back even stronger. Number 70. LXX. Ooh, getting close. Oh, we at the back of the book. Not too many pages left. Separatio, differentiation, divide, to cut away. Separatio is the great alchemical operation of the sword. It occurs when substances are pulled apart for their higher good, either willingly or unwillingly. The fissure may take place suddenly with a swift blow of the axe, or slowly over time with a dull blade. No matter how separatio occurs, it will likely be a painful process for all involved. Images of swords and knives, battles, rebellion, breakups, divorce, and atoms splitting apart are expressions of separatio. The good news is that separatio prepares the individual for a more conscious union down the line. It releases stagnant energy and allows the parts to see themselves as individuals. This stage is prerequisite for conjunctio, union, love, at the bottom of the deck. Through the pain of separatio, we come to accept and love ourselves as we truly are, and in turn, we love the world. It's likely there's been a hot mess in the laboratory for a while. Once you're past the initial blow, which could take a long time, you'll be singing separatio's praises. Language is also a way that separatio is expressed through labels, titles, and definitions. Notice whether your word choices are inclusive or exclusive and adjust as necessary. So I love that separatio comes out. And again, immediately at the bottom of the deck is the next stage, phase, step that we are preparing for. Conjunctio. And I also love that it's like, you know, in that separation, we get to see ourselves. Excuse me. And in seeing ourselves, I guess if we choose to face the truth of ourselves again, we can become better aware of what we would want to sort of be aligned with or join with in that union love energy. Or we can be better aware of how we, like, especially if like love is something that we want, we can become better aware through separation of our habits, patterns, thoughts, beliefs that kind of sort of keep us from experiencing that loving, harmonious partnership that we truly, deeply desire. And in that case, like, yeah, it's you. Is it the other person too? Sure. But it's also you, right? And then you get to do what you need to do to attract, find, connect with, and maintain healthy, loving relationships. All right, now we're getting the animal. It's the camel and the elk at the bottom of the deck. Camel of the moon, elk of the sun, even though it's kind of eclipsy. Fire and earth, water and earth and water and earth and water and spirit and air. There we go. Water, earth, water, earth, water, earth, water. The camel has an internal balancing mechanism that allows it to sustain itself in unfavorable environments. So, in that way, the camel is almost detached from outcome because it doesn't need it. It doesn't need for things to go a certain way, or it doesn't need for things to be anything in particular in order for it to continue along its own path, journey, and way. As long as it can, fill up, its humps can store enough water to see it through the desert for as long as it needs to be in the desert. There is also like a journeying energy here. It feels like at some point the camel becomes the elk. Excuse me. And we see the oranges and reds and pinks around the antlers of the elk symbolizing wisdom. The camel, and it's like environmentally, it's like the camel becomes wise to its environment. But the thing about the antlers is that it's important to shed them. It's important to know when things that served as wisdom in the past no longer apply in the present, or which things aren't suitable for the future. Let's say you don't always want to live in a desert. If you don't always want to live in a desert, it may not be um, practical or feasible, for certainly necessary. It wouldn't be necessary to store so much water, to hold so much in. Maybe there was a point in time where, like, let's say that there weren't many individuals in your life that you could be vulnerable with. And so you go through life bottling a lot of stuff up and never really talking about your feelings or not having a safe space to express them. Well, when the environment changes, you want to be able to be vulnerable and express and share your feelings, because that vulnerability may be something that it's like that vulnerability may be the glue for key relationships moving forward, or like important relationships, right? May not be. Take it as it resonates. Um, but yeah, it's just like realizing that the behaviors and survival mechanisms, defense mechanisms that we develop, that one develops in an unfavorable environment, are not necessarily necessary when the environment changes, and that they can actually be detrimental. And then last but not least, we have the archetypes, the archetypus. That's a lot more. Oh, no. No. We got like 4 archetypes that came out over here, and then 3 right here, and then a whole bunch that came out. I'll like name them, but we have the mirror and the fault line. Something mentioned the fault line. I read it in the book. Was it copper? I feel like something mentioned the fault line. Or was it separatio? The sword, the fault line. The mirror and the fault line, we have the womb, which is copper, and apocalypsis. We have the shadow and the forest and the unseen. Behind the unseen is Thanatos. I didn't even see Thanatos lurking behind the unseen. Because, like, the shadow and the forest, it makes sense if there are things that we don't see. But then it's like, what's unseen? Thanatos. We have 2, and like 2 groups of 4 cards. And in both of them, we have one of the 7 stages of the Gnostic, whatever, major life milestone, developmentally, spiritually, whatever, apocalypsis and Thanatos. Face down, we have Aletheia, which is another one, and the prayer. And then we also have a whole bunch. We got the box, we have the sword, which is that separatio, the animal, the mask, Kairos, which is another one, the kiss, the ocean, and the one. So each group of cards actually came out with a different major stage, which is interesting because there's only 7 of them. And we just saw 4 of them. We didn't see Eros. We didn't see Gnosis. And there's another one that we didn't see, but Anima Mundi. Those are the 3 that we didn't see. But it's interesting because Copper, Venus, readies us for Eros. Who was the other one? Anima Mundi and Gnosis. I'm going to put these back and we're going to try again because that's way too many cards. It's interesting that the prayer was with Aletheia. Aletheia is truth. And it's almost like maybe there are things that we pray for in quiet and things that we pray for in secret. But as we go about living our lives, we may not necessarily. It's almost like, hey, Kirsty, how you doing? It's early over there, early in the AM. It's almost like someone who's very like happily single and like, I don't need nobody in public, but in private, they're like praying for somebody. And it's like, well, what's the truth? You know what I mean? Like there's an honesty and there's a realness in prayer that I don't know if day-to-day life supports the fulfillment of it, you know? And that kind of came out too, like, are we ready to receive the very blessings that we pray for? You woke up at 3:33 a.m. Oh snap! I love that. I love that emoji. I paused Reem's video at 33:33. I was like, oh my gosh. Eros. I was like, Copper, Venus was getting us ready for Eros. Eros is one of the phases that we didn't see. We've seen 5 out of 7. The only 2 we haven't seen is the very beginning in Gnosis and the very end in Anima Mundi. Eros. Number 71. 71 is Connuntio. It's that union and love and the alchemy. 71 was at the bottom of the deck. The bottom of this deck is number 67, LX60 VII7, the stone. Oh, the stone is a diamond. Someone's proposing. I'm sorry. But there is a diamond in the mouth. Is that a mouth? Yeah, in the mouth of this person. The stone, the rock. Anyway. Eros, 71. There's agape. Hold up, wait. Is there 8 of them? The initiations, that's what they're called. I thought Gnosis was the first initiation. Eros, agape, Thanatos, apocalypsis, Gnosis, Aletheia, and Anima Mundi. We saw Aletheia, we saw Kairos, we saw Apocalypsis, and we saw Thanatos. So what did I say? Eros, Gnosis, and Anima Mundi? Is there 8 of them? Maybe there's 8 of them. 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8 instead of 7. Sorry. And who did I miss? Agape. Eros. Though Eros can be depicted as unbridled sexuality and eroticism, a more contemplative understanding of this archetypal energy leads us to the root of desire itself. What do we long for? Why are we awakened by love? What makes us hesitate in the face of intimacy? Eros reconnects us with a primal longing to merge with another human being. Nature, music, art, plants, food, or anything that we perceive we are separate from. Eros allows us to momentarily unite. Our heart embraces otherness, and in doing so, we further understand our own. Our life force awakens. This card reveals an inevitable initiation into love's labyrinth. You may find yourself swirling in a new territory of desire and sensuality. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart. And remember, though the way is circuitous, you are always being led toward its center. The Hindu goddess Lalita, she who plays, can help activate Eros energy. She is also known as Kameshvari, Empress of Desire. Plato reminds us that Eros can be experienced as platonic love. It is activated when we witness beauty and truth in the world, when our barriers soften. My Eros was awakened by some platonic love. I saw one of my friends she went to the Renaissance tour, and I saw her outfit. I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. You are so amazing. She's literally one of my favorite people. She's gorgeous. And more than gorgeous, she has a brain. And more than a brain, she just has an amazing personality overall. You know what I mean? And she's a Leo. What? I met so many Leos that year, and I loved like all of them. For some reason, there was like a brief period. Well, yeah, there was a period in time where I was like, I don't think I get along with Leos. I don't really like Leos. And then I thought about maybe it was like the archetype of Leo that I didn't think I liked or whatever. But then I was like, wait, this person's a Leo and that person's a Leo and this other person's a Leo and I love all of them. So it was like, well, what's the truth? The truth is I love Leos. Anyway. I was just like, I'm so low energy and so chill and so whatever. And Leo just does too much. But then I was like, Leo really balances me out in a way. And also, yeah, maybe it's my Chiron in Leo that was I don't know. But then I found all the Leos that I love. And I'm like, okay, love that. Back in the day, you couldn't wear the fashionable digital watch. Oh, no. Wait, what? Who got a digital watch? Oh, got you a new phone. And you can't get your wireless headphones connected. Oof. Is it in the Bluetooth settings? So you have to go to Bluetooth and then hold a button on the headphones to sync them. Speaking of headphones, I got these from my friend a long time ago. I got these from my friend probably that same weekend or that same time I was there when I did the Three Judges readings. And now that I don't have an iPhone anymore, my AirPods have lost a lot of their charm. I mean, they still function, but Anyway, so that's what I got. Sorry, you kind of caught me like Kirsty. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. And, shout out to the Everlong Mystic for inspiring much of today's read, I guess, because I was just going to get on here and pull some cards. But she was like, what is happening today? Today is an opening in the season, or today is the denouement. Today we approach the climax of the resolution. That was another thing that came out a lot. Resolution. The resolution was in that Three of Swords. Which one mentioned the denouement? I'm pretty sure that was in the alchemy. Anyway, the resolution of the past and the unfolding and unfurling of the new, the brilliant, the bold, the miraculous. That's today. So yeah, there's a lot of momentum and there's a lot of speed behind that. So excuse me. Tabunka. Ooh. All right. Well, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're all in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. For those who stopped by and spent some time, thank you. If you didn't, it got a little chili peppery in there, but honestly, like I said, at the same time, I feel like it's something that I don't, that's just like, I refuse to get on here and to just like make excuses and to like, I feel like not taking accountability is so disempowering because when we don't take accountability for our actions and our choices and decisions, we impair our ability to make better choices and decisions and actions in the future to get us where we want to go. Like we take the lesson out of it. We take the very thing that we're supposed to learn from the experience out of the experience. In my opinion, in my perspective, that's just my own truth, right? That's how I live my life and how I navigate my spiritual waters. So it ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't got to do it. But apparently it was something that I felt was worth mentioning. It is something that I feel is worth mentioning because, again, it's like, when we're adults, it doesn't do us any good for our actions to not have consequences when we live in a world of consequence, when sometimes the things that we want come through consequence. Like sometimes you receiving the thing that you want is a direct consequence to you doing what you did. Like how the work was mentioned in all those cards, like you've done the work. Autumn is low hanging fruit, and they hang low because they are so ripe and juicy and plump with your effort. They're not hanging low because they're all shriveled up. And anyway, it's fine. So yeah, just brace yourself for that. It's in there. And yeah, I will catch y'all the next time I catch ya. Bye, bye, bye.